Nowadays, Sofia Vergara is happily married to her second husband, but she was once engaged to someone else. And you'll never believe the insane thing that her ex-fiancé did. November 2015 was a great day in Sofia's life. She married actor Joe Manganiello, and Sofia has confessed something shocking about meeting and dating Joe. She said that she didn't believe their relationship would work out, and when you hear about Sofia's crazy engagement before Joe, you'll understand why Sofia was hesitant to get involved with anyone ever again. Sofia's ex-fiancé is Nick Loeb. They met at a party in 2010. At first, Nick sounded like the perfect guy. When Sofia was interviewed by Parade magazine in 2011, she gushed about Nick. He was her first live-in boyfriend since she split from her first husband in 1993. Nick was a businessman from Florida, but that's not the craziest thing about him. He was also a politician when he met Sofia, and he wanted to run for the Senate in 2012. Nick was separated from his first wife when he met Sofia. He got a divorce within months of meeting her, and Sofia raved about Nick in interviews. According to Sofia, Nick was the full package: energetic, hardworking, athletic, fun, and so handsome and tall. She revealed that she and Nick enjoyed a very happy relationship. She confessed that they lived together in a rented apartment in New York for 6 months. Then when Sofia had to go back to LA for work, Nick came to visit. And something shocking happened. Nick got into a bad car crash in LA. He ended up in intensive care. He'd broken a leg and fractured his pelvis. And Sofia said that she felt so bad about it. What Sofia did next is unbelievable. She moved an injured Nick into her LA house, and she took care of him like a full-time nurse. After that happened, it was like Nick and Sofia had already been through better and worse. So no one was too surprised when they got engaged in 2012. But in 2013, Sofia made a crazy confession. She had one child with her first husband. Her son Manolo was nearly 20 when she got engaged to Nick, but Sofia announced that Nick wanted babies too. She told an interviewer, "Imagine me with a baby again." If she didn't sound too sure about it, Sofia revealed something shocking. She said, "I guess eventually I'll do it for love." And Nick and Sofia did do it. Well, they did IVF for a huge reason. Sofia was in her early 40s then, so she and Nick did IVF to create pre-embryos. If this doesn't sound like a baby to you, that's because it's not. A pre-embryo is used in IVF to try to get a woman pregnant. Because Sofia was a little bit older, she and Nick decided to use a surrogate to have a baby. But the process wasn't easy, and it wasn't even successful at first. Sofia and Nick went through 2 embryos, but their surrogate failed to become pregnant. So they decided to try again. The second time, 2 new embryos were created that were considered viable. These 3 embryos were kept frozen and ready to be implanted into a surrogate. But then something shocking happened, and it delayed Nick and Sofia's family plans for good. In May 2014, Sofia called off her engagement to Nick, and that was when their formerly very happy relationship began to turn ugly. Nick went to the tabloids and gave his version of the breakup, and you won't believe what Nick said. He told In Touch that the most important thing for him was getting married and having kids. He didn't mention anything about their IVF process to the tabloids, and he gave a crazy excuse for their breakup. Nick complained that Sofia was too focused on her career, and you won't believe how badly he dissed Sofia. Nick was 39 when they broke up, and Sofia was 42. He said that Sofia was getting in her 15 minutes of fame before it started to go downhill. He even said this about Sofia's huge acting career and her successful endorsements. Who knows how long that will last? By the time Nick was saying this stuff to the tabloids, Sofia was getting serious with Joe, and Nick had a shocking opinion on Joe and Sofia's relationship too. In October 2014, Nick said that Joe was much better suited for Sofia. After he aired out all that dirty laundry in public, you'd think that Nick would just lick his wounds and move on. But the opposite happened, and Nick started acting even crazier. A year after Sofia broke up with him, Nick filed a custody lawsuit against her in an LA court. The key word here is custody. According to Nick, the IVF treatments he and Sofia went through in 2013 had created 2 living embryos. Remember when he told that tabloid that Sofia chose her career over having kids with him? Well, Nick changed his tune with his lawsuit. He said that the embryos had been frozen for a possible future pregnancy. Nick claimed that Sofia wanted to destroy the embryos. Of course, Sofia denied Nick's crazy accusations. Apparently, they both signed an agreement when they decided to do IVF. The agreement basically stated that nothing could happen to the embryos unless either Sofia or Nick passed away. At that point, the embryos could be destroyed. Sofia made one thing very clear in court and in public. She didn't want to have anything more to do with Nick or those frozen embryos. But her crazy ex-fiance wasn't about to give up. Nick did an interview with the Today Show, and you won't believe what he said. According to Nick, the frozen embryos were on a journey and a pathway to being born. And Nick said that he was fighting for the embryos so that he could have children of his own. The court battle dragged on, and a year after all that happened in 2016, there was a shocking turn of events. A judge in California ordered Nick to provide the names of his 2 ex-girlfriends. Apparently, these ex-girlfriends had terminated their pregnancies with Nick more than 2 decades earlier. That's crazy, but it provided one thing to the court. Nick could have kids without the embryos created with Sofia. Nick's lawyers appealed the judge's decision, but the appeal got denied. At that point, it seemed like Nick wasn't just acting crazy, he was getting desperate. Nick's lawyers then filed a right to live lawsuit in Louisiana. It was honestly crazy. The lawsuit was on behalf of the embryos, and it was the embryos against Sofia in court. The lawsuit asked for Nick to get the embryos for one reason: to get implanted into a surrogate and possibly turn into babies. Then the lawsuit got even crazier. It stated that the possible babies would receive a trust fund set up for them. The lawsuit even listed the frozen embryos as plaintiffs. They were called Emma and Isabel in the lawsuit, and there was a crazy request in the lawsuit. Nick's lawyers asked for Nick to receive custody of the embryos in order for them to live and ultimately inherit a trust fund that was created in their names. So, who was supposed to set up this trust fund? It seemed like Nick was after Sofia's money. If he got the court to say that frozen embryos were possible babies, and he got custody of those babies, Sofia would have to pay him child support. The court documents didn't paint a flattering picture of Sofia. It was said that Sofia had abandoned and neglected the embryos and that she was denying their development or care, but Sofia wasn't backing down. In February 2017, Sofia's lawyers went back to a California court. She wanted a permanent solution to the crazy court battle with Nick. Sofia's legal team filed papers. The documents requested a permanent injunction against Nick. Effectively, this would block Nick from ever being able to use those frozen embryos without Sofia's written consent. That sounds reasonable enough, but Nick kept dragging out the court battle for 4 years. In 2021, Nick finally lost what was called his last gasp legal effort in the case of the frozen embryos. A Superior Court judge in LA ended Nick's crazy lawsuit for good. Nick was not happy with the court's decision. The judge overruled all of Nick's previous objections in the case, but Nick's crazy behavior wasn't letting up. He delivered an unbelievable statement. Nick said the LA Superior Court judge was clearly influenced by Hollywood, and if you think Nick couldn't get any crazier, he then plugged his own movie after he was done blasting the judge. One thing came out of all of this: Sofia found the love of her life, and Nick finally seems to have gone away. But what do you guys think about this story? Did you follow the crazy court case about Sofia and Nick's frozen embryos? Can you believe how he acted towards Sofia? Let me know in the comments below.